further ado, it's time for the article of the week. The article of the week this week is, and I will link it in here. If you are watching this on YouTube, I am going to have it in the description so that you can take a look at the article and follow along. You don't have to see my ugly mug. You can just be looking at the article while I'm looking at the article. It's only fair since I'm not looking at you. All right, so new on parents' to-do list, checking children's credit history. So again, not something that you thought that we were going to be talking about today, but nevertheless, this is kind of important. So this is from Washington. This is actually from the Washington Journal, right? The Wall Street Journal. Parents have a new item to add to their financial to-do list. Check their child's credit history. A new federal law going into effect in September will make it easier for families to combat the growing problem of identity fraud of minors, allowing them to make inquiries about credit files in their child's name and freeze a file at no cost. So, why are we discussing this right now? You know, what is it that's going on? I mean, usually what I see is that you guys have probably a card that you're connected with on a joint bank account or a credit card account with your parents so that they can either add money to it or that you can just use it and then they can see what you're buying and things like that. So there's a level of responsibility that they're trying to have you get with a level of independence that you definitely need and the ability to make quick decisions on what you need to purchase. So, you know, that's typically what I see. So what we're not talking about today is getting your own credit card, although you might be able to talk to a financial planner such as Chris Pazienza, who we're going to be hearing from very shortly when I'll be posting that video. I'm probably actually just going to post that for everybody to see on YouTube. But if I'm not allowed to, I'm going to post this for just you guys, like secret stuff. And you can hear from him what it's like in general to be financially discussing your future and how your financial plans are your life plans. You know, as a life coach, a lot of what I talk about deals with intimately your financial future, because it's your financial present, because it is your present and your future. Yes. So what's really important here is to know, like, you need money to do things and you need to do things to get money. So it's all intimately tied together. So if you're talking about your financial history and your credit history, the reason why they're talking about this in the Wall Street Journal is because there are plenty of people who are stealing your credit card information, your credit history itself, to apply for credit, to start these other phony credit rings and make money in fraudulent ways. There's a lot of crime, basically, going on, a lot of crime. But it's digital crime, it's digital fraud, and it's typically not caught by the people who are being frauded because you would have no reason to check your own credit history. So this is a really interesting thing to discuss with your parents this weekend. You can remind them, hey, you know, I was listening to College Success Coaching with Eric, and he was actually talking about checking my credit file and putting it on a freeze to protect me. And they're going to be like, wow, you know, my kid's like fiscally responsible. It's like weird. Why? I didn't even really think about that. Or maybe they did. And then all of a sudden they're like, wow, welcome to the club. Your credit history is actually very important. It is estimated that the value of savings will continue to go down year after year, at least for the foreseeable future versus 25 years ago, whereas the value of credit is going to continue to increase year over year. And there are a lot of financial reasons for that. That was another article that I'd read from, I believe it was the Wall Street Journal. I can find that if you want. You know what? I'll make it a poll right now. If you're on YouTube, you can always answer that question in the comments section. Do you want to have me go over the article that talks about the devaluation of savings and the increased value of credit? Famous answers, yes and no. I'll throw that up there for you all to check out and answer as you will. I will do the will of the people. Unlike a republic, this will be a direct democracy. And if it's a bit over 50%, I'll go ahead and I'll do that. I may even do it separately, but I could do it in the next live stream. So you tell me, do you want me to go over an article that talks about the devaluation of savings and the increased value of credit? If you're some of my finance people, you already know what I'm talking about. But for you other people, you know, I'll explain it. It's actually very interesting. But essentially, the basic principle here is that you have a score. It's like a grade. You know, like you have a GPA. You have a grade in how good your credit is. And it has a lot of factors, but essentially what it has to do with is that you have some money, like on your own. You pay your debts. So if you borrow money, you pay it on time, and that you don't have too much debt so that it starts to overburden you based on your income. So There's a lot of other factors, but those are the main ones. And so what happens is you are 14, 15, but you have a social security, and much like dog had applications for credit cards in the early 2000s because he had a prescription for something that he had medically from the veterinary clinic, and somehow that got sold to, anyway, the dog was getting these things. So you definitely could be getting applications made in your name for credit cards and other things. Well, how would you know that? The simple answer is you would not. There's no way that you would know until you actually got to the point where you wanted to apply for credit. Let's say, for instance, you now can get a car for college and you're like, well, I really want a nice car. And your parents are like, well, you can because you have a summer job and you can pay the monthly on it, and you have a job on campus because you're one of the 70% of students who's now working while in college and the 40% that are working more than 30 hours a week. So you can get a nice car. And then you go for a car loan because obviously you're probably not buying it cash if it's new. And they're like, no, sorry, your credit score is really, really low. You already have a lot of debt. And you're like, that's impossible. How is that possible? I have no credit cards. I have no car. I have nothing. You've been compromised. It is a long, ugly process to go through and clear up your credit history from fraud. And it can include changing your social security number. So, I mean, it's a nightmare. How do you protect yourself from this nightmare? And again, opportune moments are going to be the times where you find this out and they become inopportune moments. So you're graduating, you want to apply for an apartment, they want to check your credit score. Turns out somebody used it and fraudulently, and you have this awful credit score with this terrible rating and all this bad history. You're not going to get the apartment. So when you graduate, you end up going back to your parents versus getting your first apartment. So real life consequences that you will have no idea about until you actually find out about your credit history. What the Wall Street Journal was saying and emphasizing, which I 100% agree with, is you can check this out with your parents today, like this weekend. Like they could go on with you and they could find it out and they can freeze your credit file for free dollars. That's my favorite. That's my favorite expense. It's my favorite cost for like most things, $3. It's like the first free 2 weeks of the service. Why do you think I do that? Because I love free dollars. To get this done, you could get your credit score protected, your credit file frozen so that people can't attack it and try to use it. It's just a nice added level of protection. It gives you the peace of mind you didn't know you needed to have. So you're welcome, first of all, for making you stress out about this. That's my job. It was going to be a problem anyway, but now you know that it's a problem. And look at that. Within the same 10 minutes of me letting you know that there's this ugly lurking monster potentially under the blankets, I'm figuring out a way with you to help solve that problem and get rid of that permanently and definitely. So talk to your parents, take a look at your credit score, take a look at your credit file, and get it frozen. Why not? You're not using it for anything. It's free to do, and it's pretty simple to unlock it, just as easy as it is to freeze it. So when you're ready and you want to open it up, you can actually give authorization for a specific company to look at it for a car or for an apartment or something like that. So just keep that in mind. This was a short one, but it's actually really important. And, your credit score, much like other adult things, are the stuff of nightmares in the future if you're not preparing for it today. So go ahead, have a conversation about fiscal responsibility with your parents. They're going to love it. They're going to love you for it. And they're probably going to love me for it. So, you're welcome, Mom and Dad. Anyway, this has been the article of the week. Did you like that video? Did you find it interesting? Do you want to find out more about how to get more out of life? That's a lot of mores, and we can do even more than that. So if you would like to check out our website, www.collegesuccesscoaching.com, you can see what it's all about. I answer live questions every week. I have videos with experts in all kinds of fields that can help you to learn more about what they do and what you could be doing, and even more. We have resources on the website. It's a blast. So go ahead, check out the website. It's risk-free. 2 weeks on me. You're welcome. And otherwise, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so that you can get all these article reviews, as well as every once in a while, I'll do a live Periscope where I'll answer any questions anybody sends me throughout that time. So keep on keeping on. We'll see you soon.